time. OT, baby. Wow, that was the longest intro ever.
Hump day sizzle.
David Villa.
Yes.
I want to start with the live chat and some of our viewers that are typing and telling us what to talk about. R. Tenson 1, someone should tell that joking Russian fool that he's on our turf. Talking about a joke that was made. I'll let you set it up.
An inappropriate joke. It didn't need to be made. It only gives fuel to those who want to try to make some connection between Russia and our elections that isn't there. But, you know, I guess everybody tries to be funny. And
I think he was just trying to be funny.
Yeah.
I think he's got a pretty bad sense of humor.
Yeah.
Who, Lavrov?
Yes, I think he was like, oh, let's just
the
make a
president
joke.
at the White House today thought he'd joke about the firing of James Comey.
None of the late-night comedians have anything to worry about. He's not taking their job.
Yeah.
He's not taking their job.
Don't worry. It's not coming over here.
So, you know, one place that we kind of didn't
That was
go,
fast, Kennedy.
One place that we kind of didn't go with all the people that are visiting the White House today. Dr. Kissinger is on that list. Sergei Lavrov, obviously the foreign minister of Russia. That
It's
was already
amazing.
on the schedule.
He is 91 years old, still has the kind of prominence that he has, still being brought, still being brought into diplomatic conversations at his age. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Russian Ambassador Kislyak on that list. There are photo opportunities that are being had at the White House. What kinds of questions should we be asking at this point, David?
Well, are you going to help us with North Korea? What can you do to help us with North Korea? Quit selling them bombs. What are we going to do about Syria? There are a lot of issues that, more though than maybe us asking questions, is we need to make sure they know where we stand on these issues.
So then in that case, what should we say about where we do stand? Because I think there's been some confusion, a lot of it driven by the media, about where President Trump stands, what his relationship is with the Russians, what he wants out of this. How should they be defining what they want out of this?
We can't. I'm sorry. I just think it's so naive, the idea that we could ever trust them in any capacity whatsoever. As you mentioned on the show, there have been many resets, starting with, I believe, Clinton, George H.W. Bush, who said, "I look in Putin's eyes, I see a soul, I see a K, a G, and a B." That's an old joke. And then going on forward, people trying to sort of normalize this murderous KGB dictator. And Kennedy, I don't always agree on things foreign policy wise, but you and I can sit here and agree that these aren't people we should be trusting right now.
You have to talk with them. You have to, because they are in a nexus with North Korea, Cuba, and then also.
But don't you think with the human atrocities that are going on that they are war criminal? Again, I implore everyone to watch the video.
So what do we say to them, I guess, is the point.
Because I keep your eye on the ball. You know, Megan's right in that let's not forget what happened in Syria, and let's really get to the bottom of that. You know, was this a rebel compound that was bombed and they had sarin gas inside that leaked and that's what hurt the citizens? Was there Russian involvement? Were there Russian planes? Was this a direct attack? Did Russia know that?
If we get to the bottom of that, because we still have Russia on the other side that's like annexing its neighbors. Like they do all sorts of awful
and I mean
stuff.
it's what's happening in Crimea, and also we talk a lot about China's involvement with North Korea, but we don't talk a lot about the Russian connection. And Russia's one of the few countries on the planet that has ICBMs. That's what North Korea wants more than Kim Jong-un to wake up in a Swiss cheese factory, which he would very much adore. And it's his love of Swiss cheese has been quite problematic.
He imports it, right?
He does. He's obsessed with
to his Disney World that's built somewhere in North Korea.
That there was some power scooping during the last 8-10 years. I mean, that cuts across more than one president in office by Russia, and that they really don't have a fear. I don't know if they ever feared us, but they may have
But that's a great point, Harris.
They certainly don't.
That's a great point.
now.
And I was going to say that to what Kennedy was saying is you need to get them to be honest with us first and foremost. Tell us what's really going on. But you also need to put them in the corner and make them feel scared. Because
how do we do that with Russia?
That's a great question, because you need to intimidate them in some way to make them feel like they need us. They need us for the economy. They need us to stay afloat. They need us for their own power, right? Because for Vladimir Putin, he wants to be this power player in the world.
Yes.
So how do we convince him?
Especially in the Middle East, particularly
in Syria.
And maybe
President Trump, I mean, I like to say every president's different. They all are going to try to make relations different with Russia. But let's just hope that somewhere, if it's not this point in time, maybe it's 20 years from now, we can get to a place where we can figure out how to work with Russia, because it's so sad what's going on over there, and it's not fair to their people.
I don't know if we have 20 years of North Korea Korea is buying weapons that take it into a nuclear zone. And do we know where those materials are coming from?
Pakistan.
Well, we'd like to think someone in our country knows, but I don't. Who knows? But Abby makes an excellent point that we may never get them completely respecting us, but they also have to know they're not going to defeat us. And the President Obama made the joke about let's get our 80s foreign policy back. Well, the last time I checked in the 80s, we beat Russia with that foreign policy. And maybe it is the time to get back to the 80s foreign policy.
It didn't have to be this absolute
it didn't have
mess.
to be, but it is.
But it's 8 years of just the complete leading from behind and naivete.
I argue that it's been longer than that. I think that we haven't really successfully dealt with Russia in more than a decade, and that this isn't necessarily the man in the White House. This has just been our foreign policy that didn't respect or didn't look at who they were going to become.
I mean, the one thing that you could say about this president, even for his critics, is I think this is actually an area where his unpredictability could suit him and the country best.
In like a one-on-one meeting, especially with Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, and if they cannot anticipate where this president is coming from, I think that plays to his advantage. And, maybe you have to speak their language, unfortunately, and I'm not...
I wish people cared more, though, because the degree to which people don't seem to even really understand. It's the worst thing I've ever seen. It's hell on earth. This video yesterday, I'm not being dramatic. I'm not a dramatic person. I'm not an overly emotional person. To watch babies gasping for air, they don't die immediately when they're chemically gassed, and their families screaming around him. There was a guy that went to a graveyard where 25 members of his family had recently been buried. This is genocide, and it is hell on earth. And it's amazing to me the lack of coverage it gets, the lack of awareness. And there's a direct funding from Putin and Russia.
How do you solve that problem? Because you can't go to war with Russia.
No.
And you certainly shouldn't do it over Syria because you've got ISIS on the ground. You've got so many other things going on. I mean, you could get rid of Bashar al-Assad, and then what do you have? You have almost a repeat of Iraq. You've got ISIS moving in.
Maybe not condoning it in the sense that you're inviting Russia and saying today, and I believe the quote was a new reset. I don't want a new reset with Russia. Yes, that we're trying to reset relationships right now. And there seems to be this grave misunderstanding of history and what's going on right now.
Or just not knowing what to do.
I think there are a lot of things we can do, and again, we may disagree on what that ultimately is, but ignoring it and pretending like this isn't happening, and the bleeding heart liberals who claim to care about humanity in all aspects except when it comes to this are the particular hypocrites in all of this.
All right, Debbie Allison says Russia is not our friend. It's been this way for years and years. Sad but true. Why Stephen Bann? Oh, thank you. He likes my shoes. Jen Simon Libby, hello from New Hampshire.
I like your shoes,
too. I'm on
too.
Facebook Live right now, by the way, and look at all those bubbles. I get so excited.
New Hampshire.
People love us. So I wanted to give a shout out to some of the people on Facebook Live. All right, so hi from PA, from Mary Jean Hoover, forgive me. Back on the live chat on our page on foxnews.com/outnumbered facts. A simple way to calm down a lot of people would be for President Trump to call for a special prosecutor, this with regard to the exit of James Comey.
I agree with that.
He thinks he's innocent, so why not do the special prosecutor?
If he's got nothing to hide. David and I were talking about this in the commercial break. I think the way that he's handled this Russia stuff, if he's got nothing to hide here, why not just come out and say, do what you need to do, and let's just end this.
Nothing to hide. Okay, but
for all.
I guess the question here is how do you appoint a special prosecutor if you've recused yourself from the issue?
Yep.
Jeff Sessions. I mean, how do you do that? How does that work? I mean, do we rely on a highly partisan, overly politicized Congress to have their own special investigation? I mean, it might happen, but we know what happens. We all saw the Select Committee on Benghazi hearings, and we know what happens when the parties are completely split and there's no longer a singular focus of getting to an objective truth.
And if we don't come back to bite them, though. I warned them many times on this very show during the election. You say these nice things about Russia, you say these nice things about Putin. At a certain point, this will come back to bite you. Had they been more responsible with their rhetoric on the campaign trail, not as many Americans would be feeling the way that they are right now and questioning the things that they are. So a lot of this is the Trump administration's fault as well. Should be like me and just hate Putin all day long, have this red line.
Yeah, but you can't go to war with him.
I mean, even with Michael Flynn.
I'm not talking about going to war with them. I'm talking about not normalizing.
But you're absolutely right in that every administration wants to have a relationship with Russia, and every administration wants peace in the Middle East. And so far, you said it, no administration has been able to solve that Rubik's Cube.
And part of the problem is Russia knows that we don't want to go to war with them.
They do.
So they don't fear us. Sparty60 says the new buzzword is timing. It's going to replace awesome.
Oh.
Interesting. Great to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you tomorrow.